Hey, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you want to say. It is 5 o'clock. It's 5:01. It is Mondays with Mohip. I hope you didn't forget, because I almost did, but we're here and excited to be able to just provide some quick updates for everyone so you guys know what's coming, what's happening, some updates. And again, I think the most important part of this is giving you an opportunity to ask questions. So I'm going to give it a moment and see if anyone joins. And, hopefully we could have a nice session where people could get their questions answered, maybe learn something new about the district, get excited about all the great things that we're doing here at this district. And, again, just stay connected to everything Proviso 209. And so we'll just give it another minute and we'll get started. I don't have a lengthy agenda. It's not like that first one that I did where we went for an hour, right? Last week's was 30 minutes with my update and with the questions. So I'm hopeful that we continue to be efficient, so it's a good use of your time. And so we're going to get started here. So, the first thing I want to talk about is our bag reports. This is something that I brought to the district when I started almost a year ago, and really excited to see it's become part of the culture. People know when I say a bag report what it means. If you don't, it's behavior, attendance, and grades. It's our way to just provide parents on a weekly basis an update on how your child is doing. We did make one small shift. So instead of doing bag reports on Fridays, we're doing them on Mondays, right? So ask your child today, did you get your bag report? Check your email to see, is the bag report there? If you're in your emails and you're not seeing the bag report, please let your principal know, please let me know. Even better, go to the district website, go find in the right hand, there'll be a blue dot that says let's talk or contact us or let's connect. That's the Let's Talk app. Go there and let me know that you don't have access to your bag reports, and we'll make that happen for you as quickly as we possibly can. However, we're still printing them out. So if it's not in your email, ask your child, because they should have it. I'm hoping they're not just throwing these out. Listen, I know it's a lot of paper. We're printing 4,700 of these once a week. But I think it's really important that your child and our students see it in their hands every day or every week, to see that not only we're paying attention, but hopefully it's a reminder for them to go to class, be there on time, pass your classes, stay out of trouble, because these three things are going to make such an impact in their life, and is really going to help them just become better students, but also better students outside of Proviso once they go on and graduate and go into career or going to college, to the military, whatever their choice is. It's just a good reminder. Here's how you're doing, and these are the things that really are going to help make a difference for you. The next thing I want to talk about is our attendance. I was looking at our attendance rates. We're still in two out of the three of the schools, we're below our goal, but we're much further than where we were in the past. So as you know, the goal is 95% attendance for the year. And we're seeing improvements. We're seeing, again, from where we were last year, but we're also seeing improvements from where we were last week. So that's encouraging to me. The overall attendance for this entire year right now at East is 89.1%, and that's up 0.1% from last week. Looking at West, we're at 88.7% for the year, and that's up 0.5%. So a full 0.5% increase from last week to this week. And at PMSA, we're at 95.9%. So above the 95% goal, we want to stay there. And they're actually up 0.1%. So what we're seeing is last week, our attendance was so strong that we were able to get improvements overall for the entire year. So those are great things. The trend that I talked about in the last Mondays with Mohip is still there. We're still seeing Wednesdays are our highest days. And I'm trying to understand, we're going to continue to look at this. Is it because it's a shortened day, or is it because our kids, your kids, our students, is it because they get to sleep in a little bit longer, maybe encouraging them to be at school on time? So this is something we're going to continue to be looking at. But we're still struggling on Mondays, and we're also struggling on Fridays. So every single day in school is important. And so the only way we're going to reach that 95% goal is if we're if we're ensuring that our children are getting to school, they're getting sleep, they're eating healthy, they're staying active, all the things that could help them become healthier students and healthier individuals. So I'm asking for your partnership, please. If your child is not sick, send them to school. We're doing a much better job of, once they're in school, making sure they're going to class. So we're seeing the rates of kids cutting classes going down significantly, but it's when we don't get our students in class. So parents, please help us. Do everything you can to make sure your child is coming to school daily. And listen, if you need help, let us know. This is what we're here for. We have teams of people that are looking at this data on a weekly basis, almost a daily basis, and we're looking to figure out, possibly talking about your child, right? Like, why aren't they coming to school, or what challenges that they're having, or what we can do to help, and what interventions we can put in place. But it becomes better when we have an opportunity to work with you, to hear from you, so that we can help partner with you to diagnose any of the issues that are causing challenges for your child. Moving on to the Bridging the Gap, it was a huge success. It was, for me, it was my first time. And it was such a great opportunity to see not just the Proviso High School District come together, but it was the entire Proviso Township coming together, realizing, one, that there are gaps, but understanding that it's going to take the community to help solve those, right? So we saw the clergy, we saw state representatives, we saw and local officials. We saw federal officials there. We saw students. We saw parents, grandparents, community members. Our bands were there, our cheerleaders, our activities. And this year, we didn't just have one float for Proviso Township high schools. We had 4. So each high school had an opportunity to have their own float. And then the district and the Board of Education, we came together, as we always do, and we had one float. So it was really great to see that representation increase from what I understand was 1 float last year to 4 floats this year. And that's honestly the name of the game, and what we're chasing down is really trying our best to just better engage with the community and get more involvement and more excitement for our district, for our schools, for our students, for our staff, for everyone connected to D209. So it was really nice to see that level of engagement in coordination with others, the other school districts and the people that I just mentioned. Look forward to next year. And again, thank you to the organizers. It was, it was a really great way to spend our Saturday. It was a little iffy that morning, if you guys remember, but it was nice. It turned out to be a great day. And so, things just went in the way we wanted to do, and we had a great event, a great parade, and then ended with a successful celebration at Proviso East, where we also had a vendor fair and were able to feed people and just have some great fellowship. Next week, 9/23, I just want to really highlight this one because I think this is so unique that Proviso High School District does this. I've been in other districts, I've been around the state, but to have this Bring Your Parents to School Day on September 23rd, the fact that we even do this, right? Like, this is huge. I've never seen this done anywhere else. If you know of other districts that are doing this, please let me know. But I don't know other high school districts that are doing this, right? Like, this is such a cool thing, right? It's going beyond like the curriculum nights and the back to school nights and some of those other events that we have at the beginning of the year traditionally at schools. Like, here's a day where we're saying we're opening the doors. We want parents, we want you to come here and not only just hear from us, we want you to sit with your child. Dude, this is so cool that we have parents and the district has created something. I wish I could take credit for this, but I can't because I think this is phenomenal that we're doing something like this. You could come. You could sit with your child in class. You could see the classroom. You could see the teacher. You could go to lunch and experience that. You could walk the halls. You could see that it does not take 5 minutes to get anywhere in that building. You can make it. That you can then say to your child, there's no excuse for you to be tardy to a class because you can get anywhere in this building and you can walk their schedule and see it. I mean, I am so excited about Bring Your Parents to School Day, and I hope all of you are, and I hope that, I hope every single person can come, right? I hope every single parent can experience this, even if it's for an hour or two, right? But I would love for you to be able to walk the entire building, walk your child's schedule, be in the lunchroom, be in the hallways, be in the bath, everything that your child does. I want you to be able to experience that. And again, I've never seen this before anywhere, and just excited that this is something that we're doing here in this district. Oh, I wanted to give you an update on the gradual release of responsibility. That is the Proviso instructional framework. This is how we're trying our best to really change the way and the experience that your child has when they're coming to our school. And so we started this year with, so I told you before in other Mondays with MOHIPs, we were going to have a year-long rollout. We're not trying to shortchange anything. We want to make sure our teachers are having the opportunities to learn, to experience, to grow professionally, to get support from the department chairs, from the district, from their assistant principals and principals, and make sure everyone's feeling supported as we're doing this. I am proud to say right now that we're working on learning objectives and formative assessment. So essentially the bookends of a lesson. How do you start a lesson? How do you end a lesson? And we still have 2 weeks left in this cycle of this professional development segment. And even with 2 weeks left, half of our teachers, we were just looking at the data today in cabinet, half of our teachers are doing this at a level 3 or higher. And that's our goal is 100%. So we have from now until September 26th to really help understand where our teachers are struggling and try to move them along. And I'm still confident that by the end of these 2 weeks, by September 26th, we'll be at that 100% level of teachers at a level 3 or more with the learning objectives and with the daily formatives. Now, I wouldn't be so excited about this or so confident if we didn't have these great department chairs in our building, if we didn't retrain and refocus our entire central office staff to be more focused around instruction. But because we've done these things, you could be half, a glass, was it half empty or half full, right? I'm choosing to be optimistic here. Half of our teachers are there. I know that the other half will get there because I have seen our teachers. I think we have phenomenal educators in this building that are dedicated to your children, they're dedicated to this community and understand what we're trying to do and specifically how we're trying to do it. Again, this framework was built by our teachers. It's not something that I said we had to do or something that's being forced upon them. We brought teachers together to help us design what our instruction should look like, how, and to build this language so we have a common language across the district. And we did not want to do that without hearing from our teachers, without letting our teachers tell us and help guide us. It cannot be part of a district where it's this top down, where the administrator is telling teachers what to do. Like, that's not education. That's not collaboration. That's not how things work. And under my leadership, we're not going to do that. I know a lot of districts do because it's easier. We are going to go slow. We're going to work with our teachers. We're going to work with our principals or department chairs. We're going to work as one unit. And this is why I'm telling you this, is because you are part of that unit as a community member, as a parent, students, if you're watching. We're all here together trying to do this thing. And we cannot do this in a disjointed fashion. I've seen it happen in other districts. It's happened here. Like, we cannot continue to do that, and we're not going to do that. So again, just updating you on where we are on the gradual release of responsibility. The next thing I want to talk about is discipline, and specifically student discipline. And so there have been some comments. There's been some questions. This is a tough subject, right? I think dependent upon where just your thought process on how we should discipline students, or even the notion of disciplining and consequences, that it's a continuum, right? And so I'm not sure where everyone watching in or where you are on this, but what I need to express and what I want everyone to understand is that what we were doing in the past was not working, right? Well, there's no way to sugarcoat this, right? We are on a list with the state because of our disciplinary practices, right? We have a higher rate than most of disciplinary practices, and at times it's affecting certain populations more than others. And because of that, there is a list of schools that's reported to the General Assembly and collected by the State Board of Education, and we are on that list. We've been on that list for a couple of years. And so what that means is we have to rethink about what we're doing. There's a couple of issues here, right? We cannot accept bad behavior. We will not accept bad behavior. We won't accept bad behavior from students. We won't accept bad behavior from staff. It's not something that we are going to tolerate. However, what we need to maybe take a look at, and what we've been looking at, is how we're responding to it, right? I think the days of a student doing doing something and automatically getting 10 days or 5 days. Like, I think those days have passed us by, right? In this educational, in the field of education, that's not something successful schools are doing. We're looking at the child, and we're looking at the incident in totality, and we're trying to understand ultimately what is the best thing we can do. How can we work with this student to make sure the behavior is not repeated? And so for my time here, I have seen some instances where this wasn't being done well because maybe we were only disciplining and not educating, or, and I think this is where I really saw it pronounced at one high school in particular, where it seemed like we wanted to just talk to the kids, but we didn't want to discipline the kids, right? And so there needs to be a consequence. And so, when I was in my last position, last time I was a superintendent, it was a similar situation where we had high rates of out-of-school and in-school suspensions. And, when I was talking to the staff, we had this mantra, this saying, right? When a student doesn't know how to read, we help them learn. We give them extra supports. We help them learn to read. If they can't do math, it's the same thing. We give them supports so they can be successful in math. When a child doesn't know how to behave, we suspend and expel them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it has to be a case where the ultimate goal of consequences and discipline is to try and help students understand what it is that they're doing, why it's wrong, and the harm it's causing. Give them an opportunity to repair that harm, but also teach them what they need to do so that they can make better choices in the future. And so while we are trying to reduce the amount of in-school and out-of-school suspensions, we will not allow bad behavior in schools. So that does mean we will have suspensions. I'm not a believer in expulsions. I still believe students should go to school, but we will find alternative placements when needed. But ultimately, that's not my decision. Expulsions is a board decision. My recommendation will always be alternative schooling, because I never believe we should ever stop a student from having the right to an education. And, well, I'll leave it at that. That's what I believe. But when it comes to suspensions, I think we have to we have to look long and hard about what we were doing in the past. Is it working? Are those students, and this is where the data comes in place, right? Are the students that get in trouble, are they repeating those behaviors in the future, right? All children make mistakes. We want them to learn from it. If they're not learning from it, that's when I think we have to take additional supports and additional consequences for our children. But at the end of the day, we cannot allow our students to misbehave, and we are going to match their consequences we're going to match our consequences to their behaviors in a consistent way across the district. And so to do that, we've also spent some time updating our policies and handbooks. We've retrained our staff, and we've now put policies in place and systems in place for what must be done when there is a consequence, when they're contacting central office, and the requirement for them to have a conversation with us before any out-of-school suspensions are provided, for a couple of reasons. One, I want to make sure that there are some procedural due rights that need to be followed. There's some special laws regarding students with IEPs. We want to make sure that we're talking through those different instances. So I'm sure there'll be some questions on this. I know that at times this could become a polarizing topic, but what I want to make sure that if I haven't made it abundantly clear, is that we take discipline very seriously. We do not accept poor behavior and poor choices, but we also are trying to help educate our students so that they can make better choices in the future if by chance they made a bad choice. Moving on, just a couple of reminders and then I'll take questions. We have our strategic plan. We're in the process of building that strategic plan. I was at Proviso West today talking to teachers. We had virtual meetings last week with parents. We had in-person meetings with parents. I was at the schools last week talking to students. So we're making our rounds, but we also have a survey out. So please look online. You could see a link to surveys, whether you're a community member, we have a special survey for you. If you're a parent, there's a parent survey. And we're using a new tool called Thought Exchange for our surveys. It's very cool. If you haven't done it yet, please take a look. This survey type with Thought Exchange, also we have a thought, or this one overarching open-ended question that you can post. It's anonymous, but then others can go in and rate your thoughts, right? And this gives me a good understanding of like, hey, that's a good idea, but nobody thought it was, or hey, that's a good idea and everybody thinks it is. And it kind of helps us, it helps keeps us honest, and it just helps the community know what people are thinking and how they're feeling. And last time I went in across the 3 surveys, I think we have over 700 responses where people are going in and rating other people's thoughts. So it's just kind of creating this opportunity for dialogue to happen in a virtual way through text. And I think it's just phenomenal. You could toggle between languages, so you can make sure, whatever language is most appropriate or most easiest for you to use, it's there for you. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this new program that we have. And we're also using a survey for the Proviso West Outdoor Sports Complex. We've got a lot of interest in that survey as well. So please go in and take our surveys, give us your thoughts, so then we can create something that our entire community, whether it's the strategic plan or the outdoor complex, it's something that something that the entire community had a voice in. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to take all that data and to be able to create something, whether it's our 5-year strategic plan or this outdoor sports complex, something that we as a community can get behind and believe in. Last thing I want to remind you, 9/17, we have our AP and dual credit night. And so this will be at each of the high schools starting at 6:30. It's an opportunity for parents, students, come learn about AP courses and all of our offerings that we have at your school. Also learning about dual credit, the advantages, the differences, and also what are the offerings we have at each of the buildings. As I mentioned, 9/23, September 23rd is the Bring Your Parents to School Day. 9/24, it's a busy day. We have actually 2 things going on. We have a FAFSA night. And so this one is a little bit differently because the FAFSA doesn't open until October 1st, but we want to get ahead of this. So what we're doing on September 24th is we're doing a virtual FAFSA night. And so be on the lookout for more information on that. I think it's an easy way to be introduced to FAFSA, or if you already know about it, get some more information about it, not make you go all the way into the schools, because at this point, since it hasn't opened, I think this is the best platform for right now for us to use. And then the last thing is we have our first bilingual parent advisory committee. So right now we just have one BPAC for the entire district. They'll be meeting at PMSA on 9/24. There'll be more information coming out about that. But it's my hope that this year that we can move away from the district-wide BPAC and start creating school-specific BPACs. And so I know after one of these Mondays with MOHIP, there was some excitement about PTOs in the schools. I love that. Let me help you, whatever you guys need to help organize and coordinate that. I used to run PTAs. My wife was a PTA president. Like, I love the PTAs, PTOs, whatever we want to call it. Please let us help you with that. But then also we want to have these BPACs in each of our schools. So right now we have this district-wide BPAC, but I do think that we have enough interested people that we could create these at each of our schools. So those are my updates. Sorry it took me a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I'm here now to answer any of your questions. I have Corey along with me, so I know she was reading through the questions and comments as they were coming in. So Corey, what are you hitting me with first?
We are going with Sultani first. She asks, can the district implement a voluntary late start or early release, especially for students that are ahead in regards to credits?
So we're looking at this right now, and we've asked the principals to give us a list, and this is really for those seniors that maybe need 1 or 2 credits. But unfortunately right now, because we don't have a policy in place, they have to stay for the entire day. And so, there are a couple of options we could look at. We could look at work-based learning. We could look at early release policies. But right now, we don't know how many students need this. And so we've asked the principals to go back and do some audits so we can get some information. I've talked to a couple students, but I haven't got a definitive number. And I need that definitive number so we can figure out which strategy is going to be best for our district so I can bring a recommendation to this board. But again, I've asked the principals, talked again about it today, to get this information, get these audits done so we know what the quantity or just how many students we have that are faced with this.
In response to your previous comments about behavior, Elizabeth asked, or she commented, we have to think about who the consequences serve. We had another person ask, what's the average IQ of a proviso student? And another question, on the day of Bring Your Parent to School Day, do we anticipate there will be plenty of parking?
All right, lots of questions I can't answer, but I'll try my best. The average IQ of a proviso student, I think that we have some of the, I think we have brilliant students here. I really honestly, truthfully think so. I'll tell you that our current ACT scores, I do not believe are direct. I don't think they're a direct correlation of the intelligence of our students. So I don't have an edge. I don't know. I think we stopped doing IQ tests way back in the day. I can't remember the last time a school actually did those. I think I did when I was in 5th grade, but that was a long time ago. So I don't know. I can't remember when we stopped doing IQ tests. But what I will say is our current data is not reflective of the abilities of our students. And so what we're trying to do is match our supports and our systems so that each and every single one of our students, your children, meets their potential, and that eventually that our summative data that's reported out to the state will truly be a match of the intelligence and the intellect and the beauty of every single proviso student. In regards to parking, I truly hope that this is a problem. I hope that we have so many parents showing up that the police chiefs and the mayors are calling, complaining about congestion on the streets and nowhere to park. And, I hope it's a headache for everybody. That would be amazing. But as of right now, as I've asked about parking and participation, we don't foresee it to be a problem. But I will talk with our security team and I'll talk with our schools to, come up with some plans in case of parking overflow. But thank you for that. Thank you for thank you for bringing that question to me. So now it's something I can think about and work with our teams. I appreciate that.
We have one last question. We have a concerned parent with regards to scholars, students who are enrolled in the CTE program. The parents were not notified of change in leadership. She says that she's emailed both the former director of CTE and our admin here. She's looking to hear back.
Please, I'm not sure. So yeah, we did have a change. We did, at one of the board meetings, we did announce that, we did have a change. And I'm trying to keep myself honest, and I can't honestly remember what was said at that meeting, but we did have a change where Dr. Brandon, who was he was our director of CTE, there was a need for him to go into an athletic director position. So we do have Ruby Ortiz right now who has stepped into the role, and she's still in her current role, but she's helping fill the vacancy and fill that gap in that work, and she's been taking on the extra responsibilities as we figure out what we're doing and what the plan is for that open position of director. Mom or Dad, I'm not sure who had the question, but please just email me, kmohip@pths209.org. I think Corey will put it in the chat for anyone that needs it. Please email me, and whatever issue or question or concern you have with CTE, I'll personally make sure that you get the response in a timely manner. So please just email me. It's in the chat, or soon will be, and we'll make sure we help you with whatever issue that you're having with CTE. Corey, are there any other questions?
No, that is all.
All right, you guys. Well, it's 5:30. We did it. We got it done in 30 minutes. I'm hoping that this is beneficial for you, and I'm trying to talk about the things that are most urgent and most important so that I don't have to waste all of your time, because I don't think anybody wants to watch me at 5 o'clock on a Monday. But, looking at the views, it seems that people are still watching this. And so as long as we still have an audience, I'll keep doing this. I just want to make sure everybody knows what's happening in our district. And, I really want this community to come together around our students, our staff, our just It's District 209. There's so much more that we can do, so much more that we can become. And together, I know that we will be able to do this. I thank you all for joining in. And we'll continue to monitor the chat to see if there are other questions between now and next week. Have a good Monday, everyone, and see you next week.